Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me when it goes fuzzy like that? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to be talking to you about keeping your goals on track and specifically staying focused beyond the first step. So as Donna wrote in the little bit of blurb about this meeting, sometimes we set goals or plans, hopes, intentions, or just think about what we want to achieve in our business or for ourselves at the start of the year. Of course, you can do it anytime. It doesn't have to be in January. But it's a time when a lot of people do it. And then our focus wavers for various reasons, and we kind of drift off. And sometimes you get partway through the year and say, oh yeah, I said I was going to do that. Whatever happened to be doing that? So there are reasons why we sort of go off track. So I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why we kind of do go off track when we set goals, plans, whatever, however you want to refer to them. I will use goals in this when I'm talking about it. But if you prefer to call them hopes, intentions, plans, whatever, you just hear it as that, whatever you want to hear it as. So when I say goals, you use whichever word you prefer to use for that. So I'm going to talk about why we tend to go off track. And you might identify some things in there and go, oh yeah, that's me, I do that. And obviously identifying it, we're able to flip it back and go, right, okay, because I do that, then I need to do this to make sure that doesn't happen. And then I'm just going to talk through some of the key elements that I always work through when I'm working on this sort of thing with people. And for me, it's been a fail-proof formula that I take people through, that if you've thought about every single element in here, you know, the chances are very, very excellent that you will actually achieve the thing. If you're missing any of the elements, that's where we tend to fall down. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. So for those of you who don't know who I am, who even am I? Why are we listening to you? I'm Carli. My business is Synergy Business Success. And I'm a mentor advisor for women who run a small business by themselves. I focus on the strategy and the plans, which sounds like that's really boring. You just want to get stuff done. So specifically like the actions of actually getting stuff done, the practical things to take your business from where it is now to actually where you'd love it to be. Because it's great, wherever your business is now, it's great that you got there, but it might not be where you want it to be. The best bit is we do it in a way that works for you. So I don't say, oh, you need to do this, this and this. And you say, well, I've only got 2 hours a day. Go, right, what time have you got? How much energy have you got? That's a really important one. You know, how much do you want to do? And where do you want to get to? And let's look at the best way to do it in a way that works for you and keeps you finding it. I always find our business fun, but doing it in a way that you actually want to be doing it, rather than going, oh, business stuff again, I don't really want to do it. If it's not working for you, let's find a different way. So I'm your business bestie, basically, holding your hand and also kicking you up the butt to make sure that you get the stuff done in the right way. This month, I'm celebrating 10 years in business. Woo! I started my business when my sons were 1 and 3. They're now 11 and 13, obviously, 10 years on. Plus, I threw another one in there, and I've got a 5-year-old daughter now. So being able to stay on track, like the stuff that I'm talking about, I have to follow myself. If I can't stay on track with the things that I want to achieve in my business, well, I've got lots going on. I can't spend all day working. I have to pick the kids up from school, and I've got other things that I want to be doing, as we all have. And you know, as you said, Tamara, you know, we want some leisure time. We want some time when we're not working. So the important thing is that we can stay focused on what we do want in our business, so that we can actually switch off and know that we're doing the right things when we're not. So these are some of the reasons why we do go off track. So I would love to know, just pop it in the comments and I'll see it afterwards, if this is any of you. So they're in no particular order. So it can be that you've not been specific enough, that you don't actually know what you're aiming for or why. You know, sometimes people say, oh, I want to grow my business this year. My goal is to grow my business. Okay, is there any specific information on that? Are you looking to earn more money, work with more people, grow your team? Like, yeah, have you just plucked that out of thin air? It's not specific enough. You don't really know what you're trying to do. Therefore, I can guarantee that that person's going to go off track. You might set a goal that just seems too big to actually do anything about. It's just the simple saying, I want to achieve this, and then going, okay. You might print that out and stick it on your wall. You might put it on a vision board if you do it visual, like Lisa said. You know, you don't have to do all of this as written out, or you know, you could turn it into a visual thing, or just stick words and phrases and motivational bits and bobs in it. But if it's too big to do anything about, again, still not really going to go anywhere. If it was a goal that was set just because, like, sometimes we set goals that we think we should. If it's, you know, sometimes I hear people say, oh, I'm aiming for 5k months, 10k months this year. Great. Does that actually relate to what you want from your business? Or is that just because you've been sucked into being told that that's the only way to say that you've got a valid business? And it isn't. So if you've set something just because it feels like you should be doing that, again, like, your motivation is going to fade quite quickly on that one. Another way that you lose your motivation is something that you can't track the progress of. And this one sometimes is tricky, especially if it's something that we want to feel rather than do in our business. Like, if we want to improve our balance between how many hours we spend working and how much time we spend like not working. I guess you can monitor that, because you can actually like put a number to the hours. But if it's just, do you feel better? And there's nothing to actually track the progress. Again, that's something that helps you lose motivation. Sometimes it's a goal that you've set that you realise you can't actually achieve it because there's something that actually is stopping you, not just because you can't do it, but you've realised it's actually not possible for whatever reason. Sometimes this is a financial goal. You know, when somebody says to me, I want to earn this much money per month. Example I always use for something like this is, I was working with a lady who made cakes, and she wanted to earn a certain amount per month. She also had a set amount of time that she could spend working, and what she charged for her cakes and the amount of cakes that she could make in the time she had wasn't ever going to be anywhere near that. So you might set a goal and think, actually, there's no way I can achieve that without changing something, like, you know. So that also throws us off, and we just start to drift and go, okay, well, that's not happening. This is a big one, I think. There's no connection with why you even want it. Sometimes we set a goal or an intention or a hope for our business, and it's not really relatable, or we haven't really thought it through what will actually mean for us. So I find, for me, this is one of the biggest drivers for my goals. You know, if I set a goal, I have to think, what will that enable me to do? What will that enable me to have or to change in my business or for myself? Sometimes these goals affect us outside of the business, sometimes they're affecting the business. But to have some kind of connection with why you even want that thing, what will it mean for you to achieve that, is quite a big driver. That's where having a visual thing, like putting this sort of thing on your vision board, is really helpful, because you can maintain that connection with why you're even doing this, why you're even spending your time on it. Having that time scale, so there's no urgency. Like, if you set a long goal, you say, right, by the end of this year I want to do this, you'll find the early months, like January, February, like, oh, but ages to do that. Squeeze it all into December. So that is something that throws you off track, because there's no urgency, unless you have broken it down into, to achieve that by then I need to do this at various stages of the year. So if you have broken it down, yay. But if you've got no time scale, no milestones, no way of tracking it, then that is something that can throw us completely off. And the last thing is, you can set a goal, you can set your plan, you can set, you know, I want to achieve this for my business. Unless you follow that up with some kind of actual plan of how you're going to do it, but it won't just happen, right? Sorry to sorry to break it to you, just saying you want to do it doesn't make it happen. There has to be some actual substance and some sort of plan and actions behind it. And so these are the things, if you don't have some of these things in place, it's great having some kind of aim, something that you can use as your sort of guiding star throughout the year as you go on through your business. But if you are, if any of these are in play, then that is just going to pull you off track. I'm not saying you won't achieve it at all, but it's going to be a lot harder. So I want to share with you some of the things that I work through when I do goal setting for myself and with my clients that really up your chances of achieving the thing that you said you want to do. You've probably, if you've worked with goal setting or listened to anybody talk about it or read anything about it, heard of SMART goals, which is an acronym for elements of the goal setting. That's great, but I have my own extension to that, which I use, which I would love to be called Be Smarter, and I would love to have had those letters, so it actually spelt that, but I don't. Mine looks like this: Be Smarter. So I've added some extra elements in there. So this is, obviously I find it really funny. So there are some extra elements that I added. Obviously you can see the original SMART piece is in there, but there are some extra parts that I add in because I feel also if you are missing these, it is like having missing pieces of your puzzle. You can still work out what it is. You could still say, yeah, it looks okay. But when all of the pieces are there, you're like, smashed it. So I will talk you through those. I'm not actually going to put them on the screen just because it would just be a lot of looking at words. And it's a lot, I feel, nicer to not just stare at words. So I'm going to stop sharing so you get me back. So before I go through the actual elements, it is really, really important that whatever you decide that you are going to work on for your business, whatever goal, aim, hope, intention, whatever you set for yourself, that it connects with whatever your vision is for your business, like whatever you want your business to be or look like or feel like. Does it actually match with that? Or is it, this is where you sometimes think, oh, have I chosen that at random? Because that doesn't even connect with where I'm trying to go with my business. And it seems such an obvious thing to do. But I am no longer surprised by the amount of people who set goals that don't relate to actually, like, why are you working on that though, when your goal is to be doing this, and there's no connection there. So please make sure the things you set actually fit with the vision and the direction that you want your business to be going in. And then you might have some priorities for your business. So if it might be that you are setting your priorities by using this method. You think, right, that's what I want to, that's a priority, and this is how I'm going to work on it. You can still use this method for calling it a priority instead of a goal. And the other thing to bear in mind is when you review your business, which I hope that you do, and if you don't, please see me afterwards. If you review your business at some points, even if it's just once a year, you will find that there are things that you want to work on and change because of something that's happening, or you just reset your focus. So ideally you would think about all of those things before saying, I want to achieve this with my business. Otherwise, yes, please come to the principal's office after. Thank you, Donna. Otherwise, are you just plucking it out of the thin air saying, I'm going to do this with my business? And keep it simple, because if you can't explain to somebody in a simple sentence what your goal is, I can tell you it's too complicated for you to even work on. You need to break it down further. So all of these things will give you the motivation to stay on track So losing motivation, yeah, when I went through that list, all of those things result in just losing your motivation. Just go, oh, yeah, no, I'm not working on that. But when you have all of these things in place, you will sit down and go, I have some time put aside to work on this. And I'm looking forward to doing it because I know where it's taking me. I know why I'm doing it. I know what I'll get from it. I know exactly the steps I'm going to be working on today because I've broken it down. So I will share with you, you can write down this as I'm talking, but I will share with you, Donna, will you, if I send you the sheet afterwards, can you send it out to everybody? So you don't need to write it down. So this has got it all on it. And sometimes when I'm working on this, setting a goal, and somebody will say to me, this is a lot of work. Right? Yeah. Do you want to achieve it? Then put some work in. Like, I wish everything came to us really easily. It doesn't. But it can be easier if you put a little bit of hard work in at the front. So I will send you out a sheet that has all of this stuff on there. So the first thing is being able to sum it up in one sentence. If you can't do that, you must break it down. It's too complicated. So the first B from my acronym is the benefit. What are the actual benefits of you achieving this goal? What will you be able to do or have, be or change? Sometimes if it's a financial goal, it's if I hit this, I can book that holiday with Lisa. You know, if I get this course finished and out there, I can cross that off my list. Something that's been sitting on there for ages, and that will give me the headspace, and I can actually move on to other things. What the actual benefit is of getting the thing done, why you want it, not just the top level, well, I'll have more money. But what will you do with that? Is there something you want to change in your business that, or invest in, or whatever that you need that money for? Is it that you just want to be able to put the heating on in the daytime? Right? You know, relate it to something that actually means something to you. And if you do want to make it visual, that's where you can you know, create something there. Go, these are all the reasons I want this to achieve this. That is something that if you miss out, you're just going through the motions of doing the work. And I find that's really motivational for me, is to go, why am I working on this? Oh yeah, because I can have that thing. I can buy that thing, whatever it is that means something to you. So the next ones are the standard SMART goals. Be specific. So what exactly will you do? Saying, as an example, Emma Louise, you said you want to be more visible, and you said you've got a strategy behind that. So there's people saying, I'm going to put myself out there more. Brilliant. But it's actually, how are you going to do that? Are you committing to starting up a podcast? If so, see Donna. Do you want to go live more on social media? Do you want to write more blogs? Like, what exactly are you going to do? Not saying I'm going to do this, but what does the thing actually involve you doing? Because that's where you start to realize what's involved in doing it. And when you sit down and say, right, well, this afternoon I'm working on my goal stuff. And I keep mentioning this, right, please ring fence some time to actually work on this. Just because you work it all out, it doesn't happen by itself. I've already said that. And if you find a way that it can happen by itself, just let me know. So being specific will help you to go, right, you're already kind of breaking it down in your mind as to the things that will contribute to you achieving it. The M is measurable. How will you know when you've achieved this? Like, do you get to a point and go, yes, I am done? If it's more of a feeling, like Tamara said, it's more to do with how she shows up in her business and the energy she brings, and how the whole business thing is making you feel. It's not quite measurable, but you can, I mean, you're going to feel a difference. That one's a little bit tricky. But how will you know when you've achieved this? Sometimes it's, if your goal is to improve your work-life balance in some way, you will know when you've achieved this when you can shut down your laptop at the end of the day and not think about anything business related. If that's what you were struggling with, you'll get to the end of a week and go, do you know what? I'm doing it. I'm switching off. I'm not talking about work all the time. I'm able to take that hat off and just be me. So it is measurable in some way. A is attainable. Is it actually realistic to achieve whatever it is? with the resources that you have, with the time and the money and the effort that you need to put in and the energy that you have, can you actually achieve it? Or is it something that you would love to do but actually aren't in a position to do right now? Because you need to think this sort of thing through. You don't want to start working towards it and then find, actually can't progress with this. The R is relevant. Why is it important to you? I think this is quite a useful thing to think about. What will happen if you don't achieve this? That's quite motivational to think, well, if I don't get my new website up and running, I won't be able to direct people to it. People won't find it. I can't effectively promote what I do. I've got nowhere to point people to download my stuff or sign up or find out more. And you know, this bit is easy for me because I'm a catastrophic thinker. You know, I think of all the things that could go wrong in any given situation. And I find that sometimes that is the thing that might motivate somebody. Is what will happen if you don't do it, or what can't happen if you don't do it, to make sure it's actually relevant to your business. Like, are there some effects? Like, if nothing will change if you don't do it, that's, you know, that's great. But, you know, think about why it's important. It comes back to the benefit at the beginning is, you know, why do you want it? And why do you want it not to fail? That doesn't make any sense. It makes sense in my mind. And the T, the last T there is time bound. When will you achieve it? Have you set a deadline? Are there milestones? Are there things that you can go, right, this, I know this will be the halfway point. I'll know I'm halfway there when I do this. And these will be different depending on what your thing is that you're trying to achieve. So then we're back to my own bits that I've added on. So the A, accountability. If you are going this alone in your business, that is absolutely fine. I wish you well with that. But you'll probably know or have heard that to share it with somebody else, you know, writing down your goals makes you more likely to achieve them. There are stats for that. I don't know what they are because I'm not sure how up to date they are or how true they are. You know, 98% of stats are made up. But having some accountability where you shared it with somebody else and said, I'm going to be doing this, like we all have. We've all said it. We've all said it out loud. We all know what each one of us, apart from me, because I didn't say mine, but we'll do it at the end. We all know what we've said we're going to achieve. We're watching, you know. We can check in with you on that in a few months and go, you said that, how's that going? How are you feeling about that? How much progress have you made? Right. Nobody wants to be asked these questions and then you go, none, no progress made. I know I said I was going to do it. But you won't have made any progress if you're not working through it, covering at least some of these points. So the accountability is really important. Do you have somebody that you can share it with, a group like this? Or I do this in my Facebook group. For those of you in my Facebook group that you'll know, I collect in all of your goals at the beginning. I ask you all to tell me what you're going to do, and then I make sure you're doing it. Or remind you what you said. Remind you what you said you was going to be working on, because sometimes you lose your focus and you need somebody to give you a poke. Remember you said you were doing that? Yep. Okay, off you go. So think about that. Do you have someone that you can be accountable to? You might just have an accountability buddy and you just share just one-on-one, not in a group setting. So make a plan for who you're going to share with and how often and how you're going to do it. It might be a monthly check-in where you just say what you're working on and how that's going, talk through any issues. It might be quarterly, whatever, but do have a plan for that, because having that accountability makes such a difference on whether we achieve or not. The last two R's, resources, right? To think in advance about what you will actually need to get this done. Is there something you need to find out more about? So I don't know, say your goal is to get one of your courses online. Do you know how to do that? First of all, is that something you need to learn? Or do you need to find somebody to support you with that? Is it something that you need to invest in a training course on it? Or is it a time investment? You need to put the time aside to work on the course that you found, to work through it, or just to learn how to use it, you know, by just immersing yourself in it, using the help sections, videos, whatever. But what resources will you need? What will you need to get it done? Because again, sometimes when we think about this at the start, it can stop us from reaching a point where we go, oh, I can't go any further. I can't do this because I don't actually know the technical knowledge of doing it. If you thought about it in advance, you can start putting plans in place to either learn it, find somebody else to help you. You know, if you think about the obstacles in advance, when you hit them, you already know what you're going to do to go past them or around them, whatever. And the last R, it's optional, but I think really important, is a reward. Like, what are you going to do or give yourself, or you know, lovely if it's a treat or something, but what can you reward yourself with? Because you've done all this hard work. You know, you've done not just all of the planning, yeah, book that holiday with Lisa, like, but some kind of reward, even if it's something really small, something that means something to you. I think it's really important to reward ourselves for the work that we do, because yes, it's our business and we're in charge and we're only answerable to ourselves, and we don't really have anybody to like give us a pat on the head and go, oh, Carli, that was really brilliant, well done, which is really annoying sometimes that I don't have somebody to do that. So have some kind of way to reward yourself when you do that. Then when you've thought about all of that, is to break it down into the actual actions, because the planning bit, great, we can sit there and plan, but then we actually need to do. So can you break it down into the small steps? So if it's your website that you're working on, for example, you might need to work out what pages you need, find the images that you'll need, think about the wording for each page. You might want to refine your services first, so you know what you're writing about. You see what I mean by breaking it all down. If you break it down as far as you can, that would be best, but if you just want to break it down into some more manageable chunks, that's still better than not doing it at all. And put some dates on it, so you've got a timeline, so you know, right, well, I want to achieve this in 3 months, so in month 1 I need to do this, this and this. In month 2, this, this and this. I hope that makes sense. So on the sheet that I send you, or Donna will send you, it will have all of those points where you can address all of these. If you just think about them, fine. If you write them out, that's better. If you want to make it into something more creative with colours and pictures, you do it in a way that works for you, obviously. The way I'm telling you to do it is the way that I would do it. The way that you should do it is the way that works best for you. And you will know if you are a writing person or a visual person, or colours, or just that you want to think it all through and have it all clear in your mind. So it's got all of those points to address all of those be smarter. And then on the back, it's got a section for you to break it down into actions with dates. And then a section to think about the potential obstacles or challenges that you might come up against, whatever you can think of, like think worst case scenario, what might stop you from achieving this, and then how you will address it when that happens. So if it's you're finding that you're not making the time to do it, you haven't got time, you're too busy, how you'll address that, hopefully, is to say, right, well, I'm blocking the time out, an afternoon a month, or, you know, a day every 6 weeks to actually work on the goals, because as I've already said, this stuff doesn't happen by itself. It doesn't happen in the day-to-day course of running our business. This is something separate that we're working on, as well as doing the stuff that we usually do. Because if we don't do the extra stuff to push ourselves forwards or to achieve whatever we said we want to do, it's not going to happen. So I will send that out to Donna, and he'll forward that on to you. If you have any trouble and you start filling it in like a good student, you sit there and go, right, Carli says I should do this. I don't know what she means by this. I've tried to make it self-explanatory on the sheet so that somebody could just find one in the street one day and just be able to pick it up and fill it in. Like, but if you do get stuck, then I'm here for you. I'm here for you to pick my brains, and I will hold your hand, but I will also tell you when you're not making enough effort, but in a nice way. I make you want to do it. This is the thing. Like, will I make you work hard? Yes. But will you smile while you're doing it? Yes. So, to sharing my screen, just why is it not moving? So, just some questions to ask yourself. Oh, I'm fumbling again. Some questions to ask yourself. If you're not going to fill in the whole thing, as a minimum, ask yourself these 4 things. Does this thing that you're thinking of doing, does it fit with the plans for your business? Like, the ideas that you have for your business, the way you want to show up in your business, does whatever you say you want to achieve, does it fit with that? Because if it doesn't, please rethink it. What will achieving this thing allow you to be, do, have? What will it give you or your business? And let that motivate you. What will happen if you don't achieve it, or what can't happen if you don't achieve it? These two questions 2 and 3 depend on whether you're driven by the carrot or the stick, I suppose. One of them will appeal to you and the other one won't. And to think what might stop you or hold you up, and think about that in advance, so that when you get to that point, or if you get to that point, you already know how you're going to overcome that, or thinking about it in advance might stop it from even happening in the first place. So if you're only going to work through it very quickly, use those 4 questions to ask yourself. If you want to find me to ask me some questions, you can find me in my Business Bestie Hangout on Facebook, which I know some of you are already there. So that is my group on Facebook, where I will I share tips and things for you to think about in your business, and we have our monthly accountability and goal setting, and I celebrate you at the end of the month. I give you all a cheer for what you get done in my own very special way. I don't want to spoil it for those of you who haven't joined. So I will celebrate that, because that's a really important bit. That's like, you're rewarding yourself by doing it. But there is me giving you that pat on the back going, well done. I will actually celebrate you all at the end of the month for whatever you get done. And if you like all the sound of this and going, yeah, that's all well and good, Carli, this is a lovely formula, I'd love to sit there and feel that out, I still don't think I will move forward with it by myself, because I know what I'm like. Then perhaps my group program might be useful for you, where I actually walk you through everything and make sure that you stay on track and things like that. But I can chat to you about that if that's what you want. But anyway, come and find me in my Business Bestie Hangout if you've got any questions. And that is it. Thank you.